Hello, if you're new to the channel, you're highly welcome. I'm your tutor, Mr. Opuki, and do well to subscribe to this channel. All right, I've been taking us on engineering maths from the basics, and gradually we'll go to intermediate level and even advanced. All right, so do well to also share the link of the channel to students, family members that are having challenges in maths. Let them come to the channel, which is the right place for them to work on their skills in maths. Because as far as science is concerned, technology is concerned, or even engineering is concerned, you need a basic and a sound knowledge of mathematics to do well in science. Okay, once it comes to things like engineering maths, okay, physics, okay, and even in your chemistry, all right, you need a good knowledge of mathematics, all right. So let's get right into today's, video on numbers. All right, in our previous video, okay, we sometimes looked at, what we call brackets, okay. I'll give just one, two illustrations. Now you have your basic operations as we have multiplication, you have division, you have subtraction, or we have addition, and we have subtraction. Now you don't want to write, any two signs, okay? You don't want to write any two signs like this without using what? The brackets, okay? So the bracket is mostly used to separate what? A negative what? Number, all right? Okay, let's give one more example. Sometimes we can write minus, let's say 7, put this in bracket, plus what? Let's say minus 3, okay? So you don't want to expose any two signs like this. Now, in our previous lesson, we also learned that these are called what? Basic what? Operations. So these are the four basic operations in maths that you have to be very, very skilled at for you to do well in maths. All right. Now, I want to introduce that. Now, let's look at what precedence what rule. The question is, what is precedence rule? Now, precedence rule has to do with the order, okay, of which you use your basic operations, okay. Now, what I mean by the order of which you use your basic operations, okay, we have developed a simple code, okay. I'm going to write it down. We can call B O, or we can go this way, P E, okay. So we have PE, or we have what? BO. Okay. Then we have what? Then D and M, A and S. Okay. So we simply call this paired mass or board mass. Okay. So in maths, you want to be solving problems following the precedence rule or the order with which you have to solve, your basic word operations. Okay. I'm going to be giving examples, but before I do that, let me quickly explain what all these abbreviations mean. Now, B is for brackets and P is for parentheses, which is the brackets. Now, O is for off, okay? Off most times is still multiplication. For instance, if I say half of what? 4, okay, it means half times what? 4 over 1, okay? So that's our off. Now, E is for exponential, or what we call powers, okay? So it means, for instance, if I write 2 raised to the power of 2, okay? Sometimes we can also say square root of 4. So whenever you're dealing with, equations in math that has to do with, the basic operations, you have to follow these orders, okay? Then we have D is for division, M is for multiplication, A is for addition, and S is for subtraction. All right, so I'm going to apply, the precedence rule in, trying to solve a simple problem. For instance, let's say we have 8 plus what? 2 times what? We have 3 square minus 1. Okay. Now, most times, people want to solve the same. 8 plus 2 is what? 10. Okay. All right. But this is wrong in maths. Now, you always have to follow what we call what? The precedence rule. All right. Now, for instance, from the precedence rule, we have bracket here first. So you always check it from left to right. So this is my left, okay? And we're moving to what? Right. So once we check, can we see a bracket or parenthesis here? Yes. So we want to solve this first. Now the next thing is, my focus is on the bracket. Now is there off or what? Exponential power. Now there is no off within the bracket, right? But there is exponential, okay? That means there is a power here. So I'm going to work on the power right away. So we have this as 8 plus what? 2 multiply. Now 3 squared means 3 times 3. So we have it as 9. So minus what? 1. So we have worked on what? The exponential of the power. Alright. Now the next thing is we're still working on the brackets. We're not done with the bracket. Because according to the order or the precedence rule, we have to work on the bracket. Okay. So this gives us, so we have 8 plus 2 times. Now to finish off the bracket, 9 minus 1 is what? 8. Okay. Now having gotten this, now the next question is, we'll come back to what? Our precedence rule. Now what follows? We have addition and what? Multiplication. So come to this. Now we are at this point. There is no division. Okay? Because you're always checking from what? Left to what? Right. Okay? Now from left to right, there is no division. From left to right, there is multiplication. So you want to work on the multiplication first. So we are going to say 2 times what? 8. Okay? So what does that give us? 2 times 8. Now 2 times 8 is going to give us what? 16. Okay? And lastly, everything has been broken down and simplified to 8 plus what? 16, which we can easily add. So 8 plus 16 is going to give us what? 24. So the answer to this problem is what? 24. Now, the essence of following the precedence rule is for consistency. Okay? If you don't keep to this rule, okay, if you have simple question like this, you may have a different answer in exam question. Now we're going to try another one again, with regards to what precedence, what rule. Now the simple one I'm going to give us is we have 15 minus 4 times what? 3. Okay. Now if you have a question like this to solve, most students will want to solve this like this. 15 minus 4, okay, is 11 times what? 3, which is what? 11 times 3 is 33. Now this is wrong. Now why is it wrong? Because the student, okay, of engineering maths or maths has not followed the precedence what rule, which has to do with bird mass or bird mass. All right. Now let's solve using what? The precedence rule. Okay. Now by precedence rule, there is no brackets if we are moving from left to right. There is no off. Okay. There is no exponential. Now D, there is no what? Division. Now N, yeah, there is multiplication. So to solve this correctly, the student has to solve the multiplication parts. Okay. So all we need to do to solve this problem is we're going to say 15 minus, okay, 4 times 3. So we have to solve 4 times 3. Now you can decide to cover it in brackets, okay, telling you that you want to solve it first, okay, using the bracket. So it means it's going to be 15 minus 4 times 3 is 12. So our final answer to this problem is what? 3. Because 15 minus 12 is 3 and not 33. So in competitive exams, you may see this as an option. You may also see this as an option. But like I said, precedence rule is all about what? Having an order in terms of using what? The basic operations in maths for what? Consistency in answers all over the world. Okay? Because, a simple question like this, some persons may be solving it and be getting 33, and some persons may be solving it and be getting 3. So there is this rule in engineering maths that you must always follow, which is board maths or paired maths. Okay? So that is the idea once it comes to what precedence rule. Let's look at some other problems using precedence rule. So let's look at a simple question like this on the board. 4 plus 5 times 6 divided 2 minus 12 divided 4 times 2 minus 1. Now, when you're given simple questions like this, in maths or engineering maths, you want to follow your precedence rule, which is your board maths or paired maths. Okay? Now, the first thing we want to check is we always have to move from left to right. So you have to always check from left to right. You have to do that continuously, okay? Continually until the problem is simplified, to just one operation. Okay, so let's go from left to right. Now we have plus. Plus is somewhere here. We don't want to do plus first, okay? All right, let's check. We have multiplication, we have division, we have subtraction, division, multiplication. Now we can realize that division, okay, should be done first according to what our precedence rule. So all we are going to do in this problem is anywhere we have division, we are going to tackle it. So we are going to tackle this and we are going to tackle this. Now let's write the whole expression tackling all the division. So let's see what that gives us. So this is going to be 4 plus what? 5 times what? 6 divided 2, we know is what? 3. So we have minus 12 divided 4, we know is still 3. So times what? 2 minus 1. Now that we have tackled division, the next thing again is we have to go from what? Left down to what? Right. Okay? Let's see what is the next operation that follows according to our precedence rule. Okay, so we have plus, multiplication, minus, multiplication, minus. And from all indication is, in this next line, we want to tackle the next operation to be first is what? Our what? Multiplication. So you want to tackle all your multiplication first. Okay, so it means we're going to do this and we're going to do this. So let's see what line it gives us. So we have this is 4 plus 5 times 3 is 15, okay, minus 3 times 2 we know is 6, and we have minus 1. Now with this, you can see that the problem is getting more simplified and what's simplified. Alright, we have to come back to our precedence rule. Now what next are we going to apply? Okay, we have plus and just 2 minuses. So addition is the next thing we want to work on first. Moving from what? Left to right. Okay, so I'm going to work on this. So what do we have? 4 plus 15, okay, is going to give us what? We have 19, so minus 6 and minus 1. Now it is even more simplified. Now 19 minus 6 and minus 1. All we have left is subtraction. Okay, now in this case, we can work on any of the subtraction, but for ease, we are going to work on this. So 19 minus 6 is going to give us what? We have it as 13. And 13 minus 1 is going to give us 12. So 12 is the final answer to this what? Expression. Now we're still going to work on the same problem, but this time I'll do a little adjustment. I'll just add a little bracket. Yeah, so let's work on this same problem, but this time I'm just going to make a little difference by adding a bracket to this first part. Okay, so how do we go about it? We are still going to apply our what? Precedence rule. Now you can see that from left to right, we have bracket coming first. Okay, so we want to solve this bracket. Now, even within the bracket, we have two operations, which are plus and what? Multiplication. Now, the question is, you also want to check what to treat first. Now, for plus and multiplication, you always want to start with what? Multiplication first, okay, before the what? Addition. So let's see what that gives us. So we're going to have this as 4 plus. Now we're doing this first, so 5 times 6 is 30. Okay, now we're going to write the rest. Then finally, we finish up the bracket by adding this, which is the addition, okay? So we have 4 plus 30, which is 34. All right, so now the next thing we want to look at again is back to our precedence rule from left to right. What comes first? We have division, subtraction, multiplication, and subtraction. So we know that from the precedence rule, division comes first. So we want to treat this division and this division. Okay? So we have 34 divided 2 is 17, minus, this is minus, 12 divided 4 is 3. So we have times 2 minus 1. Now at this point, we also want to check from our precedence rule, we are left with minus, multiplication, and minus. What should we do first? Is it minus or multiplication? We want to still work on multiplication was first. So I'm going to work on this part. So 3 times 2 is what? 6. So we have 17 minus what? 6 minus 1. Okay. Now we are left with just 2 minuses. So we have just minus left. So we are going to treat this minus and this minus. All right. So 17 minus 6 is going to give us what? 11 minus 1. Okay. Is going to give us what? 10. All right. So when there's a bracket here, our answer gives us 10. But when we solve this without the bracket, we got 12. All right, let's look at one more example in this video just to wrap it up. Now the question is we have 34 plus 10 divided in bracket 2 minus 3 times what? 5. Now following our precedence rule of BODMAS or PEDMAS, we have to know what to work first, following the order from left to right. Now we have addition, we have division, we have bracket. Now I know that I have to work on the bracket first. Now within the bracket, we have just one single operation. If we have more than one, we have to check it, following from left to right, following the precedence rule to know which one to work first. But since we have only one operation, we are simply going to work on it. So this is going to be 34 plus 10 divide. Now 2 minus 3 is going to give us what? Minus 1. Okay. So 2 minus 3 is going to give us minus 1. Now we have multiplied by 5. Now you can see I still added the brackets here because there are two signs, okay? Based on the rules of what? Brackets, how to apply it, okay? Now the next thing is we want to come back to what? The precedence rule from left to right. We have, okay, we have addition, we have division, we have multiplication. Okay. Now we'll work on what? Division first. So what this means is we have 34 plus, okay, we have 10 dividing what? Minus 1 times what? 5. Okay, so we are actually working on division first. Okay, now this bracket covers this as what? A number. This is treated as a number. So this is 10 divided the number minus 1. Okay, that we are working on. So now, this has a plus, so plus times plus divide minus is the minus, so we have this as 34, okay, plus Now this is going to be what? Minus 1 divided by 10 is still 10. But now these are two signs. I have to apply my bracket. Then we have times what? 5. Okay. Now I haven't gotten this. What's the next step? Now we have plus minus to work on, and we have multiplication to work on. Okay. Now the question is following our precedence rule. What do we work on? Now the two things we have to work on is either this or this. Okay. This is treated as what? A number. This is a single what? Number. Okay. Just like 1 year is a single what? Number. So now we are going to look at our precedence rule. We can realize, addition and multiplication, which one comes first. We have multiplication before addition, so we are going to treat the multiplication first. And if we do that, let's see what we are going to get. This is 34. We have plus. Now minus 10 times 5 is going to give us what? Minus what? 50. Okay. Now at this point, we have two signs. Now plus, minus. But this is simply what? We are doing what? Addition. Okay. This is what? A single number. Minus 50 is a single number. We are going to follow our basic knowledge that we earlier got. Plus times minus is going to give us minus. So we have 34 minus what? 50. Okay. So what would this finally give us? Now, since this number is greater, we are going to take minus. Okay. Now, 34 minus 50. Okay, this has a plus. So plus and minus, you are going to work on what? Minus. So 50 minus 34 is going to give us what? 16. So the answer to this problem following our precedence rule orderly is what? Minus 16. Alright guys, thank you guys for watching this video. This was another nice session. Hit the like button, don't forget to subscribe and share this channel to students that are struggling with math and that wish to improve their skills on math as we move forward. Okay? I'll see you guys in my next video. Take care. Bye.